People are saying that Jin might want out of the Milan show and what's going on with that. We also have people saying that a stalker might be targeting Jin. And of course we have some shocking pics of Jimin that has gotten people excited. So hey Dumplings and Save Disci, let's get into it. There have been some new pictures that have come out of Jimin from the reality show Are You Sure? This is definitely something that has gotten people very excited. First off, we have never really fully seen Jimin shirtless or without many articles of clothing on, so while he was hiding that from us, he was able to work on his body a little bit more, and we are able to just see now how muscular he looks. Now, he definitely has what I would consider a sleeper build, where you can't really tell that he's buff until he takes his shirt off, and he definitely doesn't look that way. A lot of people, after seeing this moment in the reality show, were saying that the cameraman definitely understood the assignment, as he was zooming in or capturing moments that people were definitely looking at. However, that wasn't the whole thing. There was definitely another thing that made people freak out, which was apparently Jimin talking about how he wants to make his butt look bigger or sculpted. People definitely didn't think that he would even care or really think about that area of his body, but he wanted it to be a little bit more sculpted and better, as he said that. He seemingly said he had an unbelievable butt back in the day, and now it's just believable. These are words that have been translated, so I don't know how accurate they are, but I find this phrasing absolutely hilarious, because he's not saying that he has a bad one now, he's just saying that it was better than before. It's also interesting and probably pretty telling on how the members want to appear in public. Like, they want to be seen as absolutely perfect and so phenomenal and out of this world. While that's something that I think anyone can aspire to, and maybe even want to aspire to, I don't know how many people are asking for this. I also don't think there are people who are asking the members to be so beyond perfect and so beyond relatable, because I think when we look at an idol, we kind of want them to just be slightly better than maybe the average person. It's like we feel like we can still connect to them mostly, and then they're just slightly better, and that's like slightly out of touch. Whereas if they're too perfect, we almost feel like they're not touchable, like they're not one of us, they're just a god. And I know that this is kind of the marketing standpoint that the label tries to go through, because the members always do live streams and they try to connect to the audience. The audience feels like the members are their boyfriend or the members are their friends. So this is the approach that K-pop does, and especially one that BTS does. However, there are other approaches that celebrities could do, like one of Beyonce, where she is seen as untouchable and this amazing queen, and no one can really relate to her because she's so perfect. But at the same time, she has a lot of people who love her, and no matter what she does, people will always come out of the woodworks to support her. So I think this was a little bit shocking to hear Jimin talk about something in this light, or even that the majority of us care heavily about how he looks and how his butt looks. A lot of this also has to do with the fact that anytime the boys are shirtless or the boys take a really good photo, it goes super viral. And this then makes the boys feel like they have to keep up that appearance and look perfect and beautiful all the time, which obviously is not good for their mental health. Having an unbelievable backside is great if you have it, but as you get older and as you age, things don't look as good anymore. They just kind of get out of shape compared to what they might have been before when they were younger, and you can't really fight that. So it's best to just at one point accept that you're a human being and that this can happen, but also accept that the audience or the community probably really doesn't care that much about something like that. And of course, it's his decision whether he wants to sculpt his backside or whatever he wants to do, but I think it's good to know that there are definitely going to be people that will support him no matter what he looks like. Other people think that Jin should be forced out of the Milan show recently, and this is not a bad reason, it's kind of more of a joke. Now, if you're unaware, Jin, of course, is out of the military right now, and he's doing his runs. He's promoting himself, whatever. Now, of course, to promote yourself, you have to go to press events, you have to go to events that are high profile, that are exclusive, that are televised, and that press is there. This way, he makes an appearance, he makes his rounds, he gets with celebrities, he can kind of start building his name back up. It's not like his name was ever down, but like, of course, when you're out of the spotlight, it really doesn't just take like one tweet to let everyone know that you're back into the spotlight. It takes all this press, because there's a lot of people that don't follow any of the BTS members on social media, but they might be aware members are back in the spotlight if they start seeing more of them. And this is a technique that's not just used within K-pop, but also in Western market as well. The moment you start seeing more of this celebrity that just disappeared, whether you start seeing a commercial that they did, and then like a couple weeks later, you see an article about them, or you go to the store and then you start suddenly hearing their old songs again, this is when you realize, oh, they're making a comeback. So I want to say that because, of course, it was important for him, Jin, to go to this runway show, but there was a clip in which he was kind of sitting there as the fans and the cameraman and the reporters were recording him alongside with the other celebrities, and you can see that everyone else is kind of talking and whatever, and he's just kind of looking down and spacing out. I will say, I think this is something that other K-pop stars do better at. I'm not going to say which group because I don't want to make comparisons. People already compare them so much, but there are groups that are better at communicating with each other and with other celebrities. And then going to networking events and then afterwards being able to go to an after party even with them or hang out with them later while they're in Milan or wherever they are. Even if you're a huge celebrity, the after party for that event can sometimes still exist, but it's an event that's not run by a company or not run by the CEO of the fashion show or whatever. It could be run by a celebrity. So then the only way to get into that event, if you care to get in, is to communicate and network with the other people who might be invited to the event, and then they could just bring you. And of course, I don't have to explain why networking is super important. Well, I think it's totally fine and okay to just message someone and send an email to the manager and be like, hey, let's work together. The best way to work with another artist is actually meeting them in person. As it might seem, there are a lot of artists who don't necessarily care for the clout, but they care about working with another artist, where the vibes are right. So if they like you, they might ask you to come on their podcast or whatever. And other artists sometimes feel like, well, this celebrity is so big, they wouldn't want to be on my podcast. They wouldn't want to be on my track. But when they meet, they might realize, oh, I think Jin likes me. Let me ask him. And that's another opportunity for Jin. So at this moment, you're seeing him not networking and he's not really talking. And this could just be like a flash in the pan moment. That's not really indicative of the whole night, right? But people were saying that he should probably just leave or kind of go home. If he doesn't look happy being there, right? Then leave. And this is the joke basically, like when you go to a party but you're an introvert. And all the boys, I personally believe, are definitely introverts. So they feel out of place at these events. And also like they don't speak the language. So it doesn't really necessarily make sense for them to be at that event unless it's for press, because they probably don't really understand what's going on. And when the announcers are talking, they can't really talk to anybody else, and it's just a mess. And I'm sure they're overwhelmed when they go to these sorts of things. If you've ever been behind the scenes of a red carpet or anything like that, what I can tell you is it's absolutely crazy. There are people screaming, you don't really know who is working, and you don't really know who to go up to and talk to, and you don't really know where the lines are to take your pictures, and you don't really know what to do next after you take your pictures, and there are not always people that are guiding you to the next thing. You also don't know when you're allowed to talk and when you're allowed to get up and leave or go to the bathroom. It's just very stressful because there's a lot happening. Now, I want to get into something pretty quickly and maybe a little bit dark, which is people talking about meeting Jin at the Milan airport. Interesting, because maybe by the time this video comes out, he's already been at the airport. But people were definitely wondering if this was like a way to attack him, like this was a plan to somehow attack him, with many people asking why they would even do that without knowing the exact time in which he would appear at the airport. Now, I don't know, and if I did know, I'd probably get into a lot of trouble, but I don't know when he would appear at the airport. I'm not part of that specific part of the label's PR team, and I had opportunities to get in touch with that specific part of the PR team, but I was told by that PR team that I probably would get a lot of backlash if I showed up at the airport and advised me against it, even though it's not wrong, it's just the audience sees it as wrong. But this is partly what I'm talking about. Since it's believed to be wrong to wait for him or to look for him at the airport, people believe that there is this ulterior motive behind trying to do this, that there's an attempt to hurt him or end his life. I don't believe this at all. I believe it's fine to meet someone up at the airport, and if you don't cause a scene or do anything bad, I think that's totally fine. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. I'll link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you, bye.